Hey guys, welcome to the Sean Files. So yesterday we talked about splines. We also talked about splines the day before that. We did something really cool yesterday where we were basically specifically talking about spline points, how you could use spline point locations to move your objects to that specific location. I kind of wanted to play around with that just a little bit more today. So let me go ahead and just show you a few things. So I'm gonna go to my actor that we made in our last video. I'll put the link down below of the splines that we've created so far and down in the description. So check that out. Make sure you subscribe too, don't forget. Okay, so I kind of want to do a little fun button system. So kind of like when I'm activating this box, this is where my object moves, kind of like a machine, and I'm controlling it. So I'm just moving my collision boxes over here all together in a little grouping, kind of like a button system. If I wanted to actually make a button system, we could actually do that using a spline. So that would be interesting. Maybe we should do that. How I would do that is I would create a child actor because I might want to duplicate this functionality without having to do it over and over again. So I'm going to make a blueprint. Well, first, you know what? I need to be in a folder where I can be organized. So I'm going to find a folder and I'm going to just do buttons. And I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to blueprint class. I'm going to make an actor and I'm going to name it button. BP. And over here on add, I'm going to add a spline. And I want this spline to be pointing up. So I'm actually going to rotate this spline 90? No. Maybe 90 up here? Yes. Okay. So we got our spline. Now I'm going to add a static mesh onto my spline. It's going to be parented under the spline. It's a child of the spline. I'm going to add whatever I want my buttons to be. I want a cylinder, so I add a cylinder. And I'm going to make it smaller by coming over here and scale. And I made it 0.5. All across. Okay, I want to add a texture, so I'm just going to add a material right here, just to make it look pretty, and then come back to our event graph. We're going to say get excuse me, get spline points, get location at spline point. And we're going to promote this variable. We're going to name it spline point 1 because this is going to be the spline point 1 location. So actually we're going to call it spline point 1 location. And then we're going to do this again, so just duplicate this guy. And we're going to promote it again, and we're going to call this one spline point 2 location. Okay. Now we don't have, this is not continuously moving, it's going to be still. So we just need to get this information one time. So that's why we're going to do it after the begin play. I'm just going to pull this over and get a sequence. Sequences, I'm just going to get the sequence because it'll run this and then it'll run this. And it just kind of keeps it a little separate. I like to use those on my play begins. So we need to change this index to 1. So the way that games work is that 0 actually is 1. 0 is actually the first one, and then 1 is actually the second one. So that's why we got 0 here and 1 here, and then 1 here, and then 2 here, because 1's actually 2. I know it's kind of weird, but that's how computers work. That's how they think. They always start with a 0. So, so keep that in mind. So now we got those locations. They're right here. They're stored in these variables. These variables store the information, which is the location of these spline points, wherever they may be in the world. Well, locally. We could change it to world if we need it, if we need that capability. If we do, we'll change it, but I don't think we do. Okay, so now I need to get my my button. Let's go ahead and rename this to our button mesh. Okay, all right, we need to move this object, so we're going to create a custom event. And we're going to call it move button. And we're going to say move component to, and we need to make a timeline. So drag this over and get a timeline. Add timeline, and click on the timeline, add a track, add float track, click. Now we're going to right click, and then we're going to add a key, and then right click again, add another key. Over here push 1, and over here put 5, like, because we're doing like 5 seconds, whatever seconds you want, do whatever you feel. I'm just going to zoom out by scrolling out, and then putting my key. This is the interpolation of the of how it's going to move. So, let's go back to my button, go to my event graph. I need to bring this guy, this new track, over to over seconds. So that allows it to move. The component I'm moving is my button mesh, so I'm going to drag it over to component. And then we need to know what location that it's moving to. So, we're moving from point 0 to point 1. So spline point 2 is actually the location we're going to be moving to when we call this function. Now we need a way to move back. So we're going to create another custom event. Call it move button back, and we're gonna we're just gonna copy this timeline, connect it, and we're gonna copy this move component too as well. We're gonna grab the button mesh because we need the same component, and instead of spline 1 we're gonna grab instead of spline 2 we're gonna grab spline 1 and just get it, connect it to your relative location. Okay, so now these are both events. I need to grab this one, so I'm going to rename it, but not really. I'm just copying it so I can paste it into here and pull it up. You right click to get to this, if you didn't already know. And so these are my my actions. So when do I want these things to be called? Well, I want to create an integer. And I'm going to call it button on int. And I'm going to change this variable type to an integer type. Drag it over and get it. I also am going to right click so I can put in switch on int. Alright, so I'm going to connect this over here. I'm going to create another custom event and call it button on switch. So this is going to call this switch to activate, so I can check this variable, this integer, and see whatever number it is, and then it's going to execute whatever's down the line that on the corresponding number. So we want our button to be in its original position by default, and then we want our button to be in its new position when we activate 1 by changing this int. By changing this integer to 1, it will execute this and move the button. So we need to be able to access this. I'm going to just go ahead and put this on event tech. You don't really want something on event tech. You want to control your execution flow. So you would want to put some kind of gate on it. Or you would want to only activate it when something happens, like you enter a box or you enter an area, or, you know, there's got to be, you have to put some thought behind it so that you're not overloading your game with too much information. So you have to control your execution flows. Me putting things on event tech is not best practice. I'm just doing it for testing purposes so I could show you how these other mechanics work, just to let you know. Otherwise, we put a gate on it somehow, and maybe we can do that. But for now, let's work on our button. So now I need to change this variable. So when am I going to change the integer from 0 to 1 to activate our move button? Well, it's when I'm going to overlap the button. So, but how is it going to know when I overlap the button? Well, we need a collision box, a box collision. This puts the box collision over your, or under your button mesh as a child. This guy is going to say when you touch this button, actually put it on your spline, because I want it to stay in that position. Actually, let's put it under the child, under the mesh. We'll try it. We'll try it, see if it works this way. Otherwise, we'll have to change it. But a child under the button mesh. And then we're going to say, if we overlap okay, so we need to get our character. We don't have our character on here, so we need to call that. So we're going to add another little pin to our sequence and after event play begin, because we need to get actor of class and then get your character, your first person character that you're playing, and then you're going to promote it. And then you're going to name it player actor, because that is what it is. It's automatically going to input that it's the first person character right there. Now over here, you're going to come over here and you're going to cast to first person actor, the same actor that we just did, that we pulled up. And you're going to connect other actor to object. So this says if whatever object overlaps this box, if the other actor that overlaps this box is the first person character, then execute whatever's down the line, whatever we call right here. What we're going to call is, we're actually going to change this integer. We're going to set it. We're going to set it to 1. So when I overlap this box, I'm going to set this integer to 1. And then when I am no longer overlapping this box, right here on component and overlap, press it, pull it up right here. Just copy and paste this guy because it's the same thing. If my actor ends the overlap, then set it to 0 and it'll move back to the spot that it originally was in. So, let's test it, see if it works. I'm gonna put my actor in the scene. Let's see if it works. I don't know. Let's see. So that's strange. It just... Oh. Oh. Well, it works. It just doesn't work the way that I wanted it to. Let me, see what that's about. I wonder why it turns on its side. I'm gonna just change this to world just to see what happens. I don't know if that's gonna do anything. Where did it go? Alright, so that obviously didn't work. Okay. It's very weird. Definitely not working how I think maybe I have it backwards. Well, I need to be able to reach it. It eases down. It eases down. It eases down. So yeah, I mean, like, it's working now, but it doesn't work, like, right away. I'm gonna make this timeline a lot faster. Obviously, it's not gonna take me 5 seconds to do that. So I'm just changing the link to 1 second and just make it a little bit quicker. Alright, it doesn't... It's so weird how it doesn't... you know what? get world's rotation, and I'm going to connect it to this button. I'm going to connect it to this relative rotation so that it stays in the original rotation that it was, because this is the button, and this is, I'm getting its rotation and I'm setting it to that rotation so that it's not 0, 0, 0. It is the rotation that it was originally. Maybe that will keep the button upright. And then as far as I want to go ahead and just set the button to 0 right off the bat on play begin, just so that it's in its, whoa, that's weird. I don't know why it's doing that, but it's cool. What did I do? Oh, it's the rotation. Let's make this button mesh 0. I mean, let's go ahead and make it 0 it out so that it's its original that's what it's originally supposed to be. I don't want it to be like that though. I'm gonna add a scene. I'm gonna put it under the spline. I'm gonna put my button mesh under my scene. And then I'm gonna rotate my button mesh. And then it's the scene that I'm going to, oops. It's the scene I'm going to move so that I can keep my original rotation. Let's see if that works. So far, so good. There we go. There we go. See, I'm pushing the buttons. We need to make, I don't know why they're so tall, but it's working. Let's try this again. Oop. Alright. So for some reason, oh, so I mean that's a way you could do like a button. Let me add another static mesh. I'm gonna make a cube. I just want to see what happens if this is how this would work. Why is it doing that? So I have to enter it for it to, no. It must be my static, my spline must be too big. I'm just gonna shrink it quite a bit. Alright, I'm just testing. A lot of game designers just playing around, seeing what works. This is kind of annoying because it is not acting the way I want it to. I'm going to change these back. I'm going to put all these on a 0 location. Maybe that will get it to act the way it's meant to. It being offset might have made it act in unpredictably. So there you go. See, that's what it was. It's still a little, not perfect. It's probably because I might need to turn it around. My whole spline around. Like that. Maybe that will make it work better. And then I need to get this box to overlap my button. Okay. Alright, let's test. See? Ah! My, box isn't big enough. I'm not able to reach it because this thing's in the way. So I'm gonna make this just a little smaller so that I can get to the box and push it. So now when I enter the box, the button is pushed. And it returns back to where it's supposed to go when I leave the box. So that's like a way I could push a button. Now let me go ahead and show you how I'd utilize this. Or what the whole point of this was. Alright, so I'm just creating a, like a button panel. I'll bring my little spline that we made in our last video over here. I'm going to line up those boxes. I'm just going to duplicate my buttons. Make this a little bigger. Alright, so I mean, I should actually build this on one actor, but whatever. I'm just trying to show you a concept here. Okay. So actually, let me make this guy come out a little further out. Wait, no. I'll have to do it on the actual physical thing. Because I want to be able to see it really well. So just move it out a little. Okay. Alright, let's play. So now, it's not doing anything because this thing's in the way. Alright, I'll just delete that. And these boxes are just not big enough. Move this guy just a little closer so we activate those boxes. Okay, let's try this again. So I push that button, I push this button. Ah! My dog just scared me. Now I push this button, now it moves here. I push this button. It moves there. Come over here. Push this button. Moves over here. So anyway, that's just a way you could use the spline to do buttons. And also, like, you could do a machine that controls how an object moves. And how maybe you would use buttons to make that object move. Now remember, you need to watch my other videos to get the rest of the information on splines. Like how we're able to move this box back and forth. Because we go over that. So anyway, this is just a little fun example of how you could use a spline. Alright, well, that is my video for today. Thank you so much for watching, and you have a great day yourself. Alright, bye.